Welcome, everybody, to the Quick Count, the real marks of Long Island. We are sorry we couldn't make it last week. There was some issues going on, some things going on, but we're cleared up here. But we have two special guests for the first time ever. We have the co-founders of the PWN Community. God damn! We have Fog Jones and Mass J. Holy shit! I cannot believe this is happening, fellas. How are you?
Yeah, you want to start?
You want to start? No, you want me?
Yeah, you go first.
All right. Hello, everybody. Mass J here. It's been a long time since I've been on a screen, on a mic, on a webcam, whatever you want to do it, however you want to say it. But it feels kind of nice right now. I work a lot. Okay, I mean, I work like 80 hours a week. It feels like, and I'm gone from home quite a bit. Like I just got back from Idaho. Last night around 6:30, I figured I'd pop in today and say hi, see how Fog over here is doing, see how you're doing, Justin. And, I'm just glad to be here right now, even for a short period.
Yeah, me too. I know I'm always like, hey man, drop me a link and I'll pop in one day. I just don't end up popping in. So I'm sorry, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad Jay's here too. What a surprise for even me. I didn't see that coming. So. But yeah, no, glad to do this. I hope I can carve out some time to do this more often because I love talking wrestling with people like yourself, and I really like your guys' pod. So happy you guys came on board with us, and yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool to see where things go from here.
I mean, thank God you guys, picked us up. It's the best community, bar none, for wrestling fans on the internet. But now that I actually have both of you here, like it's a pleasant surprise for me as well.
Yeah.
So let me talk to both of you. Right. How did PWN get started? Like, talk to me about how the Discord was built. Just tell me everything. I want to hear the history. This is a history podcast of the PWN community. Let's go.
You want me to take it, Jay, and you can kind of correct me if I'm wrong?
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool. So long story short, so I had kind of come into the IWC maybe a couple years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Honestly, JD from NY, I started watching again right before the pandemic era. And like everyone knows this, but WWE got weird fast, right? It was very interesting and very good. And then when the pandemic era hit, things started to get really weird. So I started to I didn't know because I was so far out of the loop of wrestling. So I was looking for podcasts and YouTube. I went on YouTube for like a Raw review and JD from NY popped up and I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. This stuff's getting weird. So I go on to Twitter and I see that there's this big community of people speaking about it, but I also noticed really fast that it is a toxic environment. And so I'm like, oh, did I make a mistake? Like, should I be here? Because this is a little weird. And I started making a website where I was going to do just general write-ups and opinions and put some data together and some graphs and stuff. Because I work with data, and Jay messaged me one day. He's like, what did you use to make this graph? And we just started talking about data and like viewership and stuff. And then it was kind of like, he's like, you want to partner up and work with me on what at the time was Slam, which was similar, but it was more of like a website with a Discord. And so kind of similar to what you see out there with, your Sports Skeetas and your Fightfuls and whatnot. Although Jay was the innovator, I believe, of the Discord for the community. And we branched it. Slam lasted a little longer, than maybe we expected it would with what we were doing because we were kind of directionless. But we knew what we wanted to do. We just didn't know if we could execute fully on it. And we kind of realized, like, this is our opportunity to pull that negativity and kind of filter and siphon it. But Slam had already been so far established for what it was really hard to just like re-scramble everything and then take what I was trying to do with my website, bring it into Slam. And then Jay was managing all this stuff by himself with some help, but really not really any help. And so he just was like, I think Jay was probably more so hitting a wall, like he was just probably getting frustrated. And I was like, let's just start over. And so he came up with, we came up with the idea of, I think we actually might have started doing the podcast in in between here. And we were like, maybe we'll just do a podcast. But then as Jay mentioned, working a lot, and I work a lot. I work from home, so I have a little bit more flexibility, but I got 2 young kids. And it's, it's time consuming. So it was kind of like, how do we make this give it some longevity, be different from whoever else is out there, so we were like, let's not do a website. Let's stick with a Discord. Let's rebrand, refocus. And so Jay, as a mastermind that he is, he was networking like silently in a way. And he brought on people like Viper and then Cody Woods. It's fun to say. And then, connected with Corey Hayes and others. And Jay has good relationships with, Sean Ross Sapp and all these other people. And it was like, let's do the Discord and focus on the Discord, build it up and build this community. And just somehow it blew up to like a near 4,000 person Discord. And it was like, let's just try and change the community one person at a time, and just be really strict with this community and make sure that all of our members feel respected and welcome. And a lot of bans happen, unfortunately, and it sounds like that's negativity, but it's like, you have to do that to keep the community happy. And you have a lot of people that come in and they bring that toxicity and they want to trash on this or that. And we're just like, nope, sorry, it's not the place for you. So, Jay, what'd I miss?
I mean, you pretty much covered it all. You covered the basis of our beginnings. The reality is, yeah, I got burnt out. I was frustrated. The toxicity of the IWC is just insane.
Yeah.
It just was brutal because, you report one thing, and if you're wrong, or even if you're right, and they find out months down the road, they still will come after you. So it got too much for me. I was just frustrated at the time. I had to take a break. I was the only one doing anything at the time.
Yeah.
And then, meeting, Fog over here was very, very helpful. And then rebranding out and making new connections, getting the right people that would volunteer their time to be even mods on the Discord was such a hassle, but we have a really great team now.
Yep.
Yes. The idea, though, is we need to change the culture of the wrestling community. The only way I thought of doing that was just getting away from Twitter, getting away from Facebook, and all the toxic brands out there that just, all they do is promote this crap. They just promote less. And you got all the frauds out there that are lying to thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, and people are just believing that they're correct. I was like, no, it's time to get away from that BS. Let's report only facts. Even if they're not factual in that second, I guarantee you in a month, you're going to be like, oh shit, they were right.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have nailed it on the head with pretty much everything. The IWC, as much as I do love it, so the 2 communities on social media that I am established with are the New York Ranger community, also toxic.
Yeah, I see that.
And the IWC, also
Right.
toxic. So you think the internet is where people go and let go. That people, they're keyboard warriors. They do whatever they want. There's trolls. People have troll accounts. So obviously that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But what you guys have built, and that's why I reached out to you guys, and that's why I wanted to bring along my podcast, or our podcast, should I say, to you guys, is because of the community that you guys have built. And the cool thing now is you're seeing all these as reported by PWN, and you guys have been breaking, you guys have had the factual news. I mean, it might have kept Pento away from WWE for a little bit too long. But,
I just want to point out, it's on my Twitter, but I am not an insider. I am here to kind of like, I'm probably more like Jay's like
right-hand man,
level-minded. Like, I kind of try to reel him in because he's got that brain that goes 1,000 miles a minute, and I get to hit the brakes and kind of be like, okay, and I get to overlook the server and stuff. But like, I say that because these guys, you don't sleep on PWN, because Jay, Cody, all of them, they have some interesting intel that you don't get anywhere else. Like, really, like, in the weeds, they'll have photos of attire or like the Wyatt Six stuff for just a small little thing, or like they'll have an idea of something like Jay just mentioned, of something that's happening 6 months down the line, and they have to decide, do I say this or not? And to be honest with you, I bet they only tell you 30% or less of what they hear, because a lot of it is so far in the future or just potentially baited that it could change, or it's like so early in stages that things change. Like I always think back to, like, if you ever heard the story of how Kane, the character, was created, they draw up all these different things. They wanted him with a cape, and they wanted him to be like all these different variations. And they went through all these different iterations of how he was actually created before they finalized his look and everything. And so that's kind of the intel these guys get. They get this like early stage stuff. Or like when Cody dropped about Alexa Bliss, like no one even wanted to believe that, because it was like, what? And then you've got, Michael Cole playing it up at the internet told me, and it's like, it was true. And then Sean Ross Sapp even goes, no, that morning is when and it's like, these guys get some intel that no one else gets, and they're just really careful. So it's really interesting how they vet it and then decide even what to put out, because you don't hear as much as they hear, because they just don't feel like maybe this isn't the right thing to put out, or maybe now's not the right time to put it out, But
No, I mean, it's so, the way, like you said, the way that they do, because obviously when they have this information, they tease it, and they can't
Right.
just blatantly say blah, 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 because then obviously if someone told them,
yeah,
and then, it's all word of mouth and how things get back to people. So you have to be careful. You can tease it, have fun with it, like you said,
yeah.
but they've been just killer,
Also,
on point.
yeah. Not just on point, and also, like, I think one of the crazy things, and to the toxicity of the community, it's like the empty can rattles the most. You hear a lot of that, where like you'll see this, people will talk about all this negativity towards this one subject. It's like every day there's like a negative topic that everyone wants to talk about. But like, speaking in regards to the PWN stuff, it's like, or just in general, Fightful, anyone who has insider intel, one thing that I think most people really need to understand, and I think most people understand it, but you get a lot of this negativity from this, is they kind of act like people are intentionally reporting false news. And maybe the proponent of that is that there are people who do intentionally report on false information. They're just making it up. I won't name names because I just no reason to smear anyone, but like, when you get like stuff like what PWN has put out there, like Alexa Bliss, or look at what happened with Penta and Ray Fenix, like that was Jay's
was not-
fault. You know what I mean?
That was Jay.
They got paid those
Sorry.
or there's just
It was-
so many
We're not paying
things.
attention, but okay.
There's so many things that they've put out there that are like, they just are like, what? Or Evolution, we just put that Cody Wodes on our server. So
Oh man, he has been killing
He
it
is.
lately.
he's just knocking stuff out lately. He just put another teaser up there that about a potential injury
Yeah.
that tomorrow night may come to fruition, and we may find out that whatever. But like, what I'm getting at is, like, when you have these guys who put out all this actual information and it's truthful and it's factual, and then like some little thing changes, like, why are you up in arms? It's what they were heard. They're telling you what they heard. It's not like no one's facetiously going out there and like, let's make something up. Not in PWN. Now, there are some
Wow.
people, and even some popular ones right now, that are 100% putting the most vague stuff now, and because they're getting all their stuff wrong. And I don't know if they're being fed wrong information or if they're just trying to predict it, and just hope that they're right. I don't know. I don't really
They're
care.
throwing stuff at walls, man. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that's
But-
all it is.
Yeah.
I do have to go,
Yeah.
but before I go, the only teaser I will talk about with the teaser that Cody just posted was the match was already announced for it,
Oh,
for this potential injured person, this talent. I'm hopeful. I heard similar this morning but it didn't sound like it was as major. But what he's hearing could be worse. And I'm hopeful that we get more clarity soon so we can post it on the exclusives only on PWN, of course, or eventually everywhere else, because that's where we're basing all the information out.
Yeah.
Well, now you can only hear that little tidbit on this here podcast. Now
That's
I gotta
true.
get this podcast up and out once we're done here. So
Exactly.
I'm against the clock now.
And blur my video.
That's
I'm
right.
against the clock here. But
See
Jay,
you, Jay.
thank you for teasing and surprising us. That was awesome. Hopefully we can have
It
you
was
on
fun.
more in the near future.
It's quite possible. You never know when I'm going to pop up. Let's just say that. So people should be
Dropping
watching
the
that,
link in our Discord chat, and
Yeah.
we'll just pop in here and there.
right? All right, guys.
We'll see you
You
later.
guys have a good rest of your day.
All right, be good, brother.
Bye.
Well, now that we have just had the history of PWN, let's, this is going to be a quick count, so we're not going to run long. Let's just run into what the current predicted card is.
Yep.
Now that we have WrestleMania coming up, I can't believe it. It's right here. It's weeks away. So there were, tweets like we just mentioned that have said what the current card kind of looks like right now. So night one, Punk, Reigns, Rollins main event.
Yep.
We kind of knew that Punk was going to somehow get into the main event. And once they were going in that direction, we knew, Jay and Gunther was probably going to kick off the show. Listeners of the podcast, we've discussed that. Like, unfortunately, winning the Mania, winning Royal Rumble usually means you're main eventing WrestleMania. Unfortunately, not so much this year for Jay or Gunther. We kind of also said once we heard Triple H say like nothing's placed, nothing's set in stone. Like let the guys figure it out, and then you have Reigns, Punk, and Rollins. That was going to take the main event.
Yeah. I mean, look at last year, right? And also, too, I get why fans are upset, and this is the thing that I put out. I think I put it out on Twitter. I said, like, a lot of this is on WWE because they really should cool it on these big, over-the-top stipulations. Like, there's nothing written about the Rumble. They can change it as they wish. Clearly, in the era we're in, I hate to say it, like the World Heavyweight Championship isn't exactly your top draw title. They really have pushed it to, I mean, even when, Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest within a day of one another won their respective world titles for their show, the next night, the next televised show on Raw, Triple H comes out and totally ignores Priest and just says, the man who's ushering us into this era. So they in that moment said, this is the title. The other title's just kind of like, have fun with it. It's the 24/7 title, but for heavyweights, I guess. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But you get what I'm saying. So like, they just all they have to do is stop saying it. You get a world title shot of your choosing. Is that not enough? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're going for a title of your choosing. Pick the title. But to also main event, that's tough because once you have CM Punk, who miraculously returned to the WWE after nearly a decade, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, like that's the biggest money match of the weekend. Surprised there's not a title on the line. So, yeah, but I get it.
And everyone's still wondering what CM Punk's favor is. From the wise man. Yeah. He said on Friday Night SmackDown, he said, "Thank you, my tribal chief." He was kissing Roman's ass for a little bit, sarcastically, but he said, "Thank you for the main event, but that's not the favor."
Yeah.
You saw Heyman in the back saying, "Don't," like he was given the, Paul Heyman and how he works. He was given the teases of don't acknowledge him. And there's got to be something along the lines of Heyman. I don't know. Does Heyman turn on Roman to help Punk win?
Like, what would Punk want? Like, favor? Like, just beating Roman Reigns in a random match? Is that really a good favor? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I think that's one of those things. That's where WWE really shines, right? They have the long-term booking and the long-term storytelling where you really have to watch. the Bloodline story in general. You had to watch every week because you didn't know when if Sami Zayn was going to join them, when if Jay, Jimmy, Sammy, Solo were going to turn on someone, and they do all these teases. And so now you're going to have probably another 6 months of teasing with Punk and Heyman. So what does it lead to? Does it lead to a title? Because it kind of seemed, I thought for a minute there, Punk was going to win the title from Gunther. And I'm surprised they didn't do that. But
yeah, it's interesting because then, we bring up Gunther versus Jey Uso, and man, oh man,
nobody
are they
wanted. This is take 4.
Are they trying to really push the limits here, trying to get people interested this time? Because you had a bloody Jimmy, you had Gunther smearing his blood all over him, and at one point I thought we were almost getting a face Gunther because it seemed like a little bit like he started turning face, and then they just went full force back to heel Gunther.
I know this, we're not going to talk about this, but like, I just don't know if they really truly knew what they wanted to do with that belt from the get-go. They put it on Rollins, which I thought was a great idea, making him the inaugural. And then almost every one of his feuds was like, everyone was like, oh, cool. Would love to see Finn win another world title. Would love to see Nakamura win his first world title. Neither of those things happened. And then the situation with Drew, which Drew wasn't even supposed to be in that spot at WrestleMania. I think that was supposed to be Cody, if I remember correctly. So, to hot potato it in that time period to Damian, and then Damian was a heel who couldn't really beat anyone as world champ, and then he turned babyface, and then he loses to Gunther because Finn Balor cost him then, not a year ago when it would have made sense. And then Gunther, same thing. It was like he's a heel. They blow his story on Sami Zayn immediately. Sami Zayn, the guy who finally beats him after he's held the Intercontinental title. And it was just like, they don't know what to do with it. And then it was kind of like, do they keep it on Gunther? What do we do? And then this whole Jey Uso thing. And I don't know if they realized that Jey Uso was a train that was steamrolling and just building this momentum. Like, when's the last time you saw this? I wasn't watching during the Yes movement, but I hear that reference.
I mean, for me, it was Daniel Bryan or Kofi Kingston.
Oh, yeah.
The freight train that Kofi Kingston became in Mania season leading up to that world title victory was incredible. It was something that I've never seen before. It was unbelievable, just like Daniel Bryan. So now, like you said, you have Jey Uso, who's so over with the Yeet shirts, and every town he's going to, every city he's going to, he has a new Yeet shirt. For Gunther, it's kind of like, I feel like
he's a placeholder. Who'd have thought Gunther would have been? He is his work. They did not book him in this world title. He literally just started showing up, like, realistically. And I know that's not him. And I think he even did an interview recently where he said he's kind of disappointed in his own title run. And this is another thing fans do that's really frustrating. They say they didn't do anything with the belt. They're not booking themselves. They are not creative for themselves. They don't just go, hey, I'm taking the 9 o'clock hour and that's not how this works. And that should be obvious. Unfortunately, it's not. So like for Gunther, he really didn't have a chance to shine as world heavyweight champion until literally just now. Like after beating Jey Uso 3 times, and they finally put him in an actual story, and they're like, we got 6 weeks, 8 weeks to stretch the story out. And, Gunther kind of sunk his teeth in a little more each and every week. And then last, Monday was fantastic. He's finally getting the show out, and I'm happy to see that for him. But man, Jey Uso, if he loses at WrestleMania, that building's coming down.
I mean, I also said to Ty in court, like, I feel like with WrestleMania, ever since it's gone 2 nights, Triple H and whoever else booking has liked to end one night with, where the heels are taking over and the fans are a little disappointed, and then it ends miraculously. So, you had Cody get pinned, night 1, and then ends up winning night 2. So do you start off with just a hot Vegas crowd, literally in the hot fucking sun?
Yeah, you can't. him being in the opener kind of gives it away in my eyes because you can't deflate that crowd. They kind of deflated people with that Damian Priest thing. It wasn't that bad, but you will deflate the crowd if Jey Uso loses.
Because could you imagine Gunther just straight up beating Jey
Squash.
Uso first match of WrestleMania night 1? I mean,
I think the crowd would leave, dude. I honestly do. I think they'd leave. A lot of them.
I mean, you got to stay because you have Kevin Owens apparently and Randy Orton on night 1 as well, which that match I cannot
CM Punk, Roman, and Rollins.
And also obviously main event. Yeah. So
that, but
and so then the other match that we have here scheduled tentatively for night 1 is Charlotte versus Tiffany. Now, ever since Charlotte came back, I know actually Charlotte just went and appeared on a talk show and she pretty much opened up about her divorce and how now,
really?
she didn't want that to come out. And then clearly after the Rumble, it did. And she said, this is my nightmare. So she opened up big time. She said, this isn't Charlotte Flair's comeback. This is Ashley's. So, I mean,
wow.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool to see that side of Charlotte Flair just opening up and showing like, we all know wrestlers are also humans.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're going with her. Is she a heel? Is she a face? I mean,
I think
she's
it's tough
actively
right
heelish, but she's getting, it's weird.
It's tough. And I'll just do another quick shout to PWN. One of the reasons I stuck around with Jey was they don't talk about personal and backstage stuff. So if they got caught wind of like a divorce or anything like that, they will not speak of it. I love that. Let them talk about that because that's disrespectful in my opinion. And that's not something we should be involved in. And I absolutely can't stand when people are online. Like there's an article like, oh, this person and this person broke up. Like find something else to do, please. But to the Charlotte Flair point, I probably watch more documentaries than I do like the live shows. They're just so interesting, and like they have like Table for Three, if you've seen that on, So I've seen a few with Charlotte Flair, and she's been on Sheamus's Celtic Warrior workouts a couple times. That's a totally different person. And I think everyone should, if you're going to ingest any form of media outside of the live portion of the entertainment, I think it's very beneficial for people to watch these. My wife, she's always joking, like if it's a heel, she's like, oh, I don't want to watch that one because I'm going to like them. And I'm just like, because you're going to see who they truly are. And it's so interesting. And she's one of the most interesting in terms of how well she plays that character on TV and how she's almost like shy in real life. And I don't know about that talk show, but like if you watch her in a lot of these other situations, she seems shy. She's like a very nice, calm person. So I think it's so cool to watch those things because it really pulls back the curtain because you think you know them, pun, but you don't know, you don't know how.
And you're right. Watching those pulling the curtain back, and like even Penta, like no one knew Penta has been fighting with a torn tricep for God knows how long, or bicep, tricep.
The bicep that he got kicked in the arm and he just doesn't have part of his bicep now. That's wild. Yeah.
But you would only learn that from watching,
everyone's got a story and it's pretty interesting to hear it. And Charlotte, heel or face, like Tiffany, Tiffany Stratton is a heel. The fans are cheering her. That's just how she, that's just like the character she's good at right now. And I think what you're seeing is how good Charlotte is. It's kind of like Cena and Cody. People like Cena is so good. It's hard. Like the concept of Cena burying people, he tried to put Solo and Theory and others over. The problem is, it's clear you're not on his level, especially in the promo game. So then when you win, it's like worse. Like you lost. Like Austin Theory, Cena almost killed his career. And he didn't do anything. He let him win. You know what I mean?
He
put him over.
At WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania. Go, man, what? So like, with Charlotte and Tiffany, you hear a lot of people saying like Tiffany almost I don't want to say she's being exposed, but the thing is this, she's really young and she's phenomenal. So like you you take all that, but it still doesn't account for the fact that Charlotte is one of the greatest. I mean, if someone said she's the top women's wrestler of all time, I would not argue with them. Right?
No, I mean, you can't.
Promo. And you know when you know you're good when you can Triple H. And what I mean by that is back in Triple H's day, every episode of like Raw would start and he would walk to the ring with his music and then he'd stand in the ring and just talk. And that was what Charlotte used to do when she was always champion. And people, they thought they were bothered by it, but that's just how good she is. That's how I see it. And so that's hard to match up to, but that's what you need. So my prediction is Charlotte beats Tiffany at WrestleMania and then Tiffany works her way up. And I think it's going to be a fantastic match.
Yeah, with Tiffany and how how new she actually is to this business is incredible, to where she's at now with everything. Like even from NXT to her character was being, you know, daddy's girl, like the little rich snob, to where she is now. She is like a natural heel, but like you said, it's just the fans have just gotten so over with the character and Tiffy time and screaming Tiffy time. Like now she has turned a heel character into a face, which you love to see because that just shows how good of a worker that person is. So
adapted to the business, age, time, championships faster than her.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Anyone? Maybe Brock Lesnar. In terms of how long was Tiffany on NXT? Not long. And she won the title, and then she got called up, and then she won another world title in the main roster. I'd love to know if someone can call out 3 other wrestlers, male or female, from any time frame that did that. Because that's pretty impressive. But you still have experience to gain, and when you talk promos, you know, you can tell who's out there. Drew McIntyre and just speaking without a script, probably has no clue what he's even about to say, or Punk, Rollins, all these guys, and who's out there with a script. And it's hard, especially when someone can cut you up like Charlotte. Charlotte can cut you up in a promo, and it's hard.
And I know people used to hate on, like, let's just go back to NXT for a second. With NXT, Black and Gold was amazing. But then they switched over to this rebrand, NXT 2.0, where they really made it developmental, and people were hating on it. But look at these people that have come out. You have your current Intercontinental Champion, Braun Breaker, who he just barks and the crowd goes crazy. You know, he's over. You have Tiffany Stratton, who's over.
Stratton, too, like the fastest rising.
Yeah. I mean, you have the D'Angelo family. I didn't know who Tony D'Angelo was before NXT, but now I tune into NXT and he's a cornerstone now currently with the D'Angelo family. So to say that NXT 2.0 is a flop is just, it's BS. They're building these characters.
It's like you grew up with your favorite show and that show comes to an end. You know, like I watch Modern Family every night. I think there's 11 seasons. That 11, if I was watching
great
live,
show.
Yeah, that 11th season would hurt. And, you know, wrestling doesn't have seasons technically, and it just goes on and on and on. And you can't be the same thing over and over. Look at back in the day when WCW was starting to pick up pace. WWE was letting go of older talent. They had Macho Man doing commentary when he wanted to be like a world heavyweight champion. You know, the saying was, we're choosing youth. We're choosing the young ones. And that's what they wanted to do, is push it. They don't have to do that now. That'd be a good topic for another time. But because of NXT, which is essentially their youth, their training pool before you swim on the main roster, and so you get mostly younger talent that are from next in line, and then they dabble in some refined indie talent. Whereas before it was kind of like, who are the best people on the indies, and let's put them in WWE. And to your point, you can. People were very upset because it's changing and this is what I loved. The Black and Gold brand, long term, in terms of the investments, was not that much of a success for WWE, because who were the highlights of that brand? Was it Adam? You correct me, I wasn't watching. Adam Cole, Ricochet, Aleister Black, Roderick Strong, obviously the Undisputed Era. We can go on and on. where are those people? Have any of them won a world title in the WWE? So,
That's a good
not
point.
saying it was a failure by any means, but the rebranding was 100% necessary because they needed a broader mix of who's coming in, who are these talents, like Braun Breaker, and that made a lot of when he kicked through that I think it was an X or whatever it was, the NXT logo. Man, were you on Twitter? Disrespectful thing. Oh, that's so wrong. I hate that people were so mad about it, but look what happened.
Yeah.
This NXT is breeding so much talent. Look at the ratings. Ratings don't matter. Well, they do when you go from 400 and something thousand, 500,000 to 750 plus hitting 800 and something thousand viewers. And the people that are featured the most are Julia and Stephanie Vacour and and their men's division isn't even, it's like not even like there's almost no men's division right now. They have Obafemi and Trick Williams and D'Angelo, but it's not this, it's getting there now that they brought in Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, and these other guys. But you go back 6 months, it was like that men's division was like thin as my hair, It's just but their women's division being so strong that the ratings are going up is wild and awesome.
No, and it says just everything to the developmental Shawn Michaels giving opportunities. Like, you watch a weekly show of NXT and 4 out of the 5 matches are women's matches, and they are complete bangers. They're awesome because that's how goddamn good that division is. And I will continue to put over the NXT women's division any day of the week, every day of the week. But still 2 weeks out, night 2, we obviously have main event, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky, and then we have Styles and Paul. So we have AJ Styles, Logan Paul. We have the triple threat, which I think they drew that one out a little bit too long. We all knew where that one was going with those 3.
You're talking about Io and Bianca?
No.
Oh, which triple threat?
Belair, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley.
Oh, yeah. I selfishly, I've been kind of praying for Bianca and Rhea to kick. I've been saying that's the Stone Cold Rock feud of the women's division on the main roster for years, probably 3 or 4 years. I've been saying that. Bianca's one of my favorites. When she came up from the main, I was like, holy crap. She's just like an incredible athlete. And just when you hear her story, like WWE found her, like, and wrestling found her, and it's like, no kidding. And the way she's adapted. But anyway, I've been begging for that match, man. I've been begging for that feud of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair to just they are like the alpha of the main roster for the women. They're just, look at the athlete Bianca is, and like Rhea's not that far behind. She has her own attributes that she kind of makes up for. They both have that power, that strength, that presence, that aura, that just innate ability to just kind of stand there and command presence. And not that Io does not, but it really feels like they were just like plus Io. You know what I mean? Just like, we're going to throw her in the mix. But like, why? Why at WrestleMania when we could have kickstarted this feud? You could have had Io and Liv, or, Io as champion wrestling someone else. This, you didn't need to have Rhea Bianca with a belt per se. But damn it, man. When are we going to get that feud? I mean, maybe after WrestleMania, and that'll be fine. They'll be like, oh, we'll start a WrestleMania Backlash. And what do you think about that?
And you're right. I have been wanting Bianca and Rhea for forever as well. And just the fact that now Io's the actual champion.
Yeah.
So like, we don't even want the actual champion in the match, although she is so good. It's just everyone's been clamoring for just that feud. And now it feels like the actual women's champion is like the outlier, which is just weird to me. Like,
that's my point. And like a lot of times when I speak, I try to clarify because people will assume, right? People love to assume something negative you said to call you out on it. And like, even going back to Damian and Gunther, when I talk about their title reigns being kind of mediocre, especially Damian Priest being booked weak, that's not his fault. He was booked that way.
Yeah.
So you feel for him, like, damn, you got the world title. It's like being you're a steak guy. It's like someone you taking a nice prime USDA prime steak, a ribeye, and you put it on a trash can lid from, the back of the McDonald's. You go, here you go.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, man, like this is so great, but I don't know if I can eat that.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the same thing with Io, is you're taking this great talent and you're almost like giving people a reason to dislike her for what she had nothing to do. She did not book herself in that position, right? I'm sure it'll work out. I'm sure the match is gonna be fantastic, truth be told. It's just one of those things where you wanted this and, put a little too much sugar on that cake. Now you're just kind of like, oh, now my stomach hurts. But you know what I mean? And I'm glad we agree on that, because it's more or less like Io could have been doing something else and not been, feeling like a third wheel.
Yeah, and like you said, like Rhea and Bianca, they're two of the major stars in WWE. They don't need a title. Right. You don't need a title for that match. So just the fact that they're kind of arguing over this title and who gets the match against Io, it's just kind of a mess in itself. But like you said, the match, I'm sure once those three ladies are in the ring, at WrestleMania, they're going to put on one hell of a show. But
last one, Cena and Cody.
Cena and Cody. Me and Cord have a bet. The way that they're booking it, John Cena's winning this title.
You think so?
I don't know. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's obviously, if she ever went against Cody Rhodes, I think her whole persona would be shot. So she's obviously Team Cody.
I will say, I'll say I'm not a Cena or a Cody guy. So Cody's one of those guys where, you know how it is. You like who you like, right? You don't really, maybe it is the way they look or talk or wrestle, the move set, like growing up, I always loved Kane, Lesnar, now Drew, the guys like that. I always liked the bigger guys that had these great power move sets and did pretty athletic, interesting things and whatnot. So like Cody and Cena, neither of them are like, oh my gosh, this is my guy, I gotta watch. I can skip their stuff and be okay. Now Cody, I'll say his matches, I do believe, are must see. He is fantastic in the ring. He's got a great move set. He can tell a really good story. Cena's never really moved me in the ring. I know that's like an ongoing joke that people are just now starting to like use because he has 4 moves or 3 moves. And like, he's never been like my guy, or I could care less. Like when him and Roman wrestled, I probably didn't even watch the match. It's just like I have no interest in seeing 45 minutes of these two look at each other, right? But I'm glad he did what he did. I'm glad he turned heel because he kind of saved that match in a sense.
Oh yeah.
It would have been kind of corny if it was face versus face, and especially. But as far as him winning, I'm kind of torn on that because unless he clowned us with his dates, he's on a very limited 30-35 date schedule. So, and not even just that, and that's probably like a very small part of it. But who does Cena face if he wins?
I mean, for me, does
he just run through like Sammy, Kevin, Randy?
I would assume like Randy. I would assume Randy, and then finally Cody builds his way back up at SummerSlam, and I'm thinking maybe at MetLife Stadium in SummerSlam, that's where Cody wins it back, and hopefully the real marks of Long Island will be there, and Court can watch her boy win the world championship twice.
Yeah, that would be cool because like I think that would be smart booking because a lot of people were before this happened were thinking like Drew wins King of the Ring and wins the SummerSlam, and it's like that's a long time for Cody to actually hold the belt. Like you can't Roman everything, and then like the nice thing about a babyface is you can win the belt a couple times back to back. The heels who drive you insane with the 8-month year, which, saying 8 months to a year is not a long time in today's era. But back in the day, you'd have 6 to 8 month reign as kind of your medium length reign. A year was kind of rare for someone to hold a belt. So like, to see Cody continue to hold it. And it's like, they've struggled to get him a story this time, like his story, he had one really good story so far, and that was with Kevin Owens, which is just a recent story coming out of WrestleMania. He had good matches, him and AJ Styles, a great couple matches, but like nothing really happened story-wise. So I think that's probably the right move. I think Cena wins, goes through a couple other people, limited date. He's only going to wrestle at the PLEs, and honestly, he'll probably miss one or two.
Yeah.
But he's bringing that belt to his talk shows, on his movie set, and he's getting eyes because WrestleMania is here. You're going to watch that no matter what. But how do we keep you watching? How do we bring in new people to watch WrestleMania, Backlash, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam? So yeah, I think you're onto something, and I think that's smart booking. Give Cody it around SummerSlam, and then have some big ass heel maybe win the Rumble and take it at the next WrestleMania. Hopefully, Drew.
and with being 2 weeks out, we only have currently 4 matches, it looks like, on the first night, and 3 or 4 on the second. So like, there's still matches to be announced.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, I could be wrong, it looks, with Braun Breaker, it looks like they're gonna go into one of those like fatal four-way, something along those lines. It's not going to be a singles match. And then I hope, as a supporter of Chelsea Green, I hope Chelsea gets a match at Mania. She should. She deserves a match at Mania.
All the belts, I hope.
Yeah. So just seeing, they have 2 weeks, so they better, they got to figure this stuff out. So these next 2 weeks, Raw, SmackDown, hell, even NXT, it's going to be must-watch TV to see where this all leads up to, and I can't wait. I cannot wait.
It's going to be good, man. I mean, a lot of people take this stuff week to week, and what I mean is, like, they see a Raw that's kind of mediocre or whatever, and they think like all of it's mediocre now. Like it's kind of like you're only as good as your last performance, which isn't true. SmackDown's been on the weaker side, but is picking up. So it's like one of those things where we're all going to watch it. We're all going to be like, wow, this is great. I'm so glad. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be fantastic. I'll say my one thing that WWE needs to do, if there's one thing, there's a few things. They need to find new people to make their music because their theme songs suck. But if there's one like big thing for this year, speaking of WrestleMania, that I really hope they do, it's delivering on the Raw after Mania. Because if you remember, like a year or two ago, they had announced that it was going to be so big, you don't know who's going to show up, blah, 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 blah. And it was awful. Nothing happened. You have to fix that. You need at least 2 debuts, which I'm pretty sure one of them is not debuting. I don't think Aleister Black is debuting then. But you get what I'm saying. They need 2 big debuts. They need some shock, some awe. Because Raw after Mania has a different energy. And when you don't deliver on it, man, that's not good.
No, like you said, Raw after Mania is probably my favorite show to watch, just because it's still everyone that has traveled internationally to go to this. And now it's not in a stadium. It's just it's in an arena. It's enclosed. Yeah. It's real. It's legit. Like I remember, one show you had Bobby Lashley return. You had, I forget who else, but like you said, the past 2 years have definitely been mediocre, to say the least. But we are at the 50-minute mark. It is not a quick count. This is
I lied to you.
Yeah, this is a long pin.
I got like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, this has been a blast. Great to have Jay here earlier. Got to talk about the history of PWN and where the community has grown to, and to see the success that it's had, with you two as the backbone of it, and just the people, the mods, everyone. So shout out to all of you. If you're listening, we are here. We're at WrestleMania season. Expect another episode of The Real Marks of Long Island this Saturday. I know it's been a little bit hectic there, but we're working on it. And Fog, thank you so much, brother. Hopefully we get you on again.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Perfect. To everyone else, please like, rate, subscribe. We appreciate all the views, the support. And until next time, The Real Marks and PWN out.